Access for career and technical education in New Hampshire. Career and technical education, CTE, in New Hampshire. CTE programs are accessible to students across New Hampshire after completing 1 year of high school. CTE students receive technical and career readiness skills through hands-on and related instruction across 18 industry sectors such as health science, engineering, construction, and culinary arts. There are CTE centers located throughout New Hampshire at public high schools and within all campuses at the community college system of New Hampshire. What is assistive or adaptive technology? Assistive or adaptive technology are tools, equipment, and applied strategies enabling students with disabilities to access CTE programming.
The New Hampshire Department of Education wants to make sure that all students are able to pursue their career goals. In an effort to support that, Career and Technical Education provides a number of different programs, and we want to make sure that those are accessible to every learner.
Working with students who may have challenges are something that we do every day. It's natural. It comes natural to us. So when I go into classrooms, it is amazing what I see. The accommodations, the modifications that these teachers are doing, sometimes not even realizing that they are accommodations and modifications, happen naturally. They happen every day. All of our CTE teachers, this is a goal of theirs, to have all students access the curriculum, to have all students find a passion and a pathway so that when they leave high school, they have the same equal opportunity as everyone else to go into the field that they love.
Every student should, by law, have access to apply and go through that process and should not be asked about any disability during the process of application. Upon admission to a program, those conversations can start to be had more specifically about how do we make sure that the student can be successful in a program.
And so we're accepting them based on the rubric. Access is the same for everyone. So once they're accepted, if there is a physical accommodation, an academic accommodation, anything like that, it would be great to reach out.
We accepted her into our graphic design program. In the second week of school, she decided she wanted culinary. So as you can imagine, that didn't give us much time. We didn't have the whole summer to make our culinary program accessible. So we reached out to the Department of Education and had them come over here and guide us on what needed to be done. So I would strongly recommend that any student apply to a program, and if a CTE center is unsure of how to accommodate that student, there are resources amongst us in the state that we can work together to make those accommodations and get the student set up so that they can be successful in the CTE program.
ATNH is the assistive technology resource for the entire state of New Hampshire, and we service people with all different disabilities. And so we have items that people can borrow, and also experts in all the different areas of assistive technology. And if one of us who's in the office doesn't know, we also have a network of partners across the state who are specialists in things like visual impairments or hearing impairments or mobility impairments.
The goal is just that they be able to do the class as everyone else is, to demonstrate their learning and competence. So we might add, auditory enhancement. Sometimes we increase visual materials. If you're not hearing well, you might need to see it better. And it's almost easier to do that in a CTE class where everything is often more hands-on, right?
So using resources from what they knew about the student, what the case monitor knew, bringing in parents to find out what works, what doesn't work. I really feel that the more you learn about a student and their specific needs and who they are, you can have anyone be successful in a CTE program.
How it was approached to me was amazing. They gave me options, and we talked through what should be done and what shouldn't, and the negatives and positives. So we first have the stage by my station, and then the aprons for our uniform we have, it would be too long for me, so we got that sewed and good. And then by the shampoo stations, we have a stool. We have 2 stools in the dispense actually. And then we have a curling iron that my hand wasn't big enough for, so we got a smaller one.
When you get to the point where you find something that works for the student, for me, that is my job. Like, that's my end game, is to make sure every kid has access to whatever program it is they want, and allowing people to understand that, like, the normal route is not the only route. Getting a student the ability to participate in a program 100% as their peers is just, it's a good feeling, and it makes me feel like I've done my job well.
If you're creative and you really want to work with these kids, I think that we can do a lot more most of the time than we think we can. I never thought I would put a student through a 2-year CTE program that couldn't speak, read, write, or understand English. And that was a very, very powerful time for me.
Taking time to build personal relationships with students, and it's through those relationships that you learn about the student and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. I once had a student with autism who was nonverbal, and I realized, just throughout one of the days, he was leaving me notes on the board. So I would leave him notes back. And at the end of 2 years, he said, he wrote to me on the board, "I want to be a waiter." And I said, "Well, okay, we kind of need you to speak." And he looked at me and he said, "Okay."
You can overcome, we've had baseball players with one arm, we've had drummers with one arm. I think we can overcome an awful lot if we want to.
That's an older idea. Shop class isn't just for people who weren't successful in traditional academics. It's for everyone. CTE is for everyone, and oftentimes it provides really strong futures and careers for students.
These students learn the skills of communication, collaboration, self-direction, working as a team. And these students are the students that go out, and I have businesses come back to me and say, "Well done. You have prepared these students for the future, and we are glad to have them."
And we want students to know as early as possible, and we want educators to know that all students have access to CTE, that the same process applies to all students and all learners, so that the greatest number of students are able to be represented in our classrooms.
For more information, please send an email to the Office of Career and Technical Education's email address, cte@doe.nh.gov, and thank you.